Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily. Ronnie Rance here with you alongside Tommy Krysan, TK over at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood on this Monday edition.
Nope, Court Street.
Court Street, Wednesday and Friday. Court Street Cafe over in Port Allen is where TK is today. A lot to get to this morning. I am at an undisclosed location presented by the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Go to lasportshall.com. Got a big golf tournament coming up May 14th at Oak Wing Country Club celebrity event in Alexandria in May. You definitely want to be there for that. Of course, L'Auberge Casino is our presenting sponsor, where the Final Four national championship game will be tonight. UConn taking on Purdue. UConn a 7.5-point favorite. TK's locked it in. He's just on top of it. Got it at 6.5. Loves UConn. He bet them big. And you can go by L'Auberge tonight at the sports book. It's going to be a rocking atmosphere to watch the national championship game. We've got LSU baseball to get to. We've got LSU spring football, the Masters, national championship. Calipari to Arkansas is the big shocker. But let's start with women's basketball. We don't really do that very often on this show, but we're just open-minded here on Sports Shorts. The South Carolina and the Gamecocks go 38-0. They knock off Iowa. Caitlin Clark. They win the national championship. South Carolina was a 6.5-point favorite against Iowa. And early on, after the first quarter, when Iowa was up 7, you looked pretty smart if you thought that Iowa was going to cover. You had 13.5 points to work with. Well, didn't end up being that way. South Carolina won by double digits. They were up 3 at halftime, pulled away in the third quarter, and won by double digits. But Caitlin Clark got hers. But the key was the bench, Tommy.
37-0. That was the bench scoring for South Carolina, 37. Iowa, 0 from the bench. And now, obviously, that's a large reason for what happened. But South Carolina goes 38-0. Right? I don't care if you're playing bitty basketball. You go 38-0, that's a remarkable accomplishment, okay? I didn't like the USA Today headline which said South Carolina beats Caitlin Clark. Should have said they beat Iowa, okay? She has a lot of other good players and a great coach, and that's just the needle moving with Caitlin Clark if her name's in the headline. But it was truly, a lot of people thought South Carolina would win this thing before the season started. And they did. And they went 38-0 and, a bunch of great players. And they got it done. You just got to tip your hat to them. Third year in a row, the SEC has won the women's title in basketball. So that's good for the Southeastern Conference. And, again, you go 38-0, and that's a remarkable accomplishment in itself. I think that I read that the last 3 years, they're like 106-3, literally, like 106 or 109-3, something in that neighborhood. And that just they are the top of the mountain in women's basketball.
Yeah, they right now they're the dominant program in the country, no question. They are the 10th women's Division I women's basketball team to go undefeated and win, obviously to win the national championship. 10th time it's happened. And for South Carolina, the bench is so big. I mean, look at LSU. Their lack of depth hurt them at times during the year, and Iowa was the same way. They had a really good 5, but you could see in that game when South Carolina is able to come off the bench with those superstar freshmen, 5-star freshmen. Iowa looked a step slow. South Carolina was just faster, more athletic. They had fresher legs because they're able to play a lot more people, and that really, I think, did Iowa in. Not only was it the good play of the bench, but it was just having a bench where Iowa didn't really go deep. So congrats to South Carolina, Caitlin Clark, all-time leading everything, and really looking forward to seeing what's next for Caitlin Clark. Sure, she's going to be the first pick in the WNBA, but will she take the $5 million offer from the 3-on-3 league that Ice Cube's offering up? I don't know how you can't, Tommy, unless you just hate money. Literally, Caitlin Clark is going to get whatever the most amount of money the WNBA team can give her, they will. And of course, she's going to make a lot more money off of endorsements, but she can get the endorsements and get the $5 million from the league. So I don't know what there's to talk about, but I guess until she says, yes, I'm going to the 3-on-3 league, $5 million for 10 games. To me,
I would think that'd be tough to turn down, especially because there's not a better option from the WNBA. Okay,
and
so
to play with men, so you get a chance to kind of break a barrier there, if you will. So interesting. LSU baseball. Oof.
oh,
Four,
go ahead.
4 weekend series in a row that they have lost in SEC play. And all more troubling than that even is it's the third time in 12 games that they've been 10-run ruled in SEC play. Like, this is about as bad as it can be. Now, it's come against great teams and all that. I get that. But they are 3-9. They've got 18 games left to play. In order to have a chance of hosting a regional, they've got to be 15-15. And I do think 15-15 this year would get LSU hosting a regional. Then that means they've got to go 12-6, Tommy. 12-6 in their last 18 games. And oh, by the way, it starts with going to Tennessee, a top 10 team in the country, to Tennessee for a 3-game series this weekend. I don't see them going 12-6. If you believe they're going to go 12-6, it's just because you're drinking the punch and you just hope. You're just hoping. There's nothing on paper that says this team's right there, about to turn it around, about to go on this big run. There's nothing that believes you. Even if you believe that on Thursday, and then you thought, you know what, on Friday they're Ackenhausen gets up they're real close. But then on Saturday they would get 10-run rolls, and every pitcher gave up runs. So there's nothing that leads you to believe that they're about to turn it around and go on some major run. That said, Tommy, they are going to be in a sprint to just get to 13 wins, which is what's needed to be in the NCAA tournament. Maybe 12-18 gets you in. 13 does. Maybe 12-18 gets you in. So you got to get to 12 minimum just to have a coin flip chance. That means you got to go 9-9 in your last 18 games. They're 3-9. So, and look, you thought Missouri was a lock. Missouri took 2 out of 3 from Florida this week. So, TK, this is bad. This is bad.
Well, Ronnie, something I said a few months ago, probably before the season started, and a lot of my friends that we always talk LSU baseball reminded me, Mississippi State won a title and then it went south. I mean, Ole Miss won a title and it kind of went south the next year. And I said, that won't happen to LSU. But we saw the recruiting class and the transfer portal and all these players. I didn't think they would go south. Well, right now they're trending south. So, and I'm like you, I haven't seen, and I was at the game Thursday night. I watched every pitch Friday and Saturday. Watched every pitch Thursday at the park. I haven't seen anything that tells me they can do what you're talking about down the stretch. 12-6? No. I mean, anything's possible, but I don't have a reason to believe that. Being objective, I can't see that happen. I mean, they got to go to Tennessee and hope they can get one. And if they happen to get Friday, then let's hope we get Saturday. I mean, Tennessee, we know the whole story there, and they're a very good team with a lot of good players. I mean, I don't know. I guess you can point a lot of fingers in a lot of directions, but they're just playing very bad baseball. Do I think there's talent? Yeah, but I don't know that it's showing, and maybe there's not as much talent as we or many other people around this country thought that there was. I mean, Jay Johnson didn't forget how to coach. We know that. However, he takes the cell phones away. Maybe he needs to go to the Tiger Woods thing and ban the sexual activity before the Tennessee series. I don't know. He's got to push some kind of button and maybe lock into a lineup and tell 9 guys, hey, you got all 3 games against Tennessee. Now, let's see what you got. And it's sub late in the game if you have to. He's at that almost the old pulling the lineup out of the hat thing, pulling batting order out of the hat thing. I mean, the phantom bullpen. I mean, you got to dig up all the old things to try to turn this thing around because they're not a good baseball team and they're not playing good baseball at this point.
Lack of leadership, I believe.
That's big.
You don't have veteran presence that you normally have. Yes, you got Travinski and Milazzo, but Milazzo, I don't know that they're quiet guys. The Travinski's not a big talker. You don't
have a Blair Barbier. You don't have a Cade Beloso. You don't have a Mikey Matuk. I mean, they don't have guys that can look down the bench and say, guys, wake your ass up. We got to do something here.
You got guys that are distracted. I mean, a guy like Tommy White's got agents and, you know, people, and he doesn't sign autographs unless he's being paid. And it's just a different world. I mean, I went back to the comment I made last week that, you know, like when you won the national championship, the first 5 national championships, you know, back in the day, you had a celebration at the box. You went out in Tigerland one night, maybe 2, and that was it. It was over. You know, then you went and played summer ball. You went and played minor league ball. You went to summer school. Like, that was it. LSU was on a victory tour. You know, every player from Louisiana got a key to the city, got his named after him. Everybody was getting paid to show up at birthday parties for kids. You know, like everybody, you know, it was this love fest forever and ever. And then, you know, you roll right that into NIL deals and what do you have and what am I going to get? And it's just so many distractions. And look, dude.
Can't hear you. We can't hear Ronnie at the moment. Ronnie, fix your volume. Need to fix your volume. Can't hear it. All right, Ronnie's going to jump out of there for a minute. He'll be right back here on Sports Shorts Daily, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, 9:30 in the morning here at Court Street Cafe in Port Allen today. We'll be at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood Wednesday and Friday, and now we got Ronnie back. Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, I forgot to put "Do Not Disturb" on my phone. Whenever you do that, if somebody calls you, it kicks you off. I was just going back to there's just so many distractions. There's just so much it's so different now that the players have to deal with. And then, you know, when you win it, sometimes there's just that lack of burn. There's just that, hey, that just seems that lack of passion to win no matter what. And here's the thing, talent-wise, they are loaded. You can look at the prospect lists. If you look at even still the draft list and the potential, all 3 starters for LSU season, Holman, Jump, Hurd, are, you know, top 50 prospects. So, you know, and then you throw in Aiden Moffitt, who throws 95 to 100, and a Cam Johnson, the highest ranked player ever, you know, to come to school, and all these dudes. You have prospects. You got big league prospects at position players. So the talent is there. It's just not working for various reasons. And here's the thing about Nate Yeskie is, you know, if you're a coach, whether it be football, baseball, basketball at LSU, if your players have success, you get credit, you get raises, you get extensions, you get, you know, better opportunities, whatever. If your players don't play well, it doesn't matter why. If you're the quarterback's coach at LSU and the guy throws 10 interceptions, you're going to probably be fired. Whether or not you told them a million times, don't throw those interceptions, read the safety, if they can't do it, you don't get credit for it. And in Nate Yeskie's case, he inherited a pitching staff where that the players, the coaches, everyone said is potentially the most talented pitching staff 1 through 19 LSU has ever had. And yet they've been a catastrophic failure. I mean, 7 ERA, an over 7 ERA in SEC play through 12 games. Walking people left and right, no development and these, you know, and some of these guys. And if anything, they've gotten worse. Is that his fault?
Well,
I don't know. All, but if they had done well, he'd be getting more money and extension and all that. So yeah, unfortunately, he's probably going to lay on the sword. Like, I can't imagine if this LSU's pitching staff ends up with a 7 ERA at the end of the year in SEC play, and they have they're 11-19. How Yeskie can keep his job? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. You know, it's not going to happen. Somebody's going to. I mean, it just doesn't. Not when you're making $500,000 a year.
I agree 100%. I mean, again, there's lots of fingers you can point, lots of questions you can raise. Nookie pointed out that the body language of this whole team is awful. You know, I go back the other night when Hurd came in the game Friday, second game. First 6 pitches he threw were balls, and not any of them were close to the plate. I go back to when the big kid from Vandy hit a 466-foot home run. That was an 0-2 pitch right down the middle. And I'm sure Yeskie didn't say lay a cookie down the middle of the plate, but that's what happened. And the guy hit it 466 feet on an 0-2 pitch. That should never happen. They can get that much, sweet spot on a ball. So that I mean, there's a long list of what's going wrong and things you can identify. What's up to Jay Johnson? He's got to fix it, correct it. It's up to the players. Jay Johnson made that comment after the game. The players have got to be accountable, and somebody's got to take charge in the clubhouse. Somebody's got to say, "Hey, God, this is not LSU baseball. It's got to change immediately." Now you got McNeese tomorrow night, decent McNeese team. Former Tiger player Justin Hill has done a great job coaching that team. But then you head to Tennessee, but you can't worry about Tennessee. You gotta hope you can beat McNeese tomorrow night.
Speaking of McNeese, McNeese lost 2 out of 3 this past weekend to Lamar, coached by Will Davis, former player and coach, and former LSU player Will Davis. Lamar no-hit McNeese on Friday, I believe, or Saturday. It was 1-0 in 11 innings. Lamar beat McNeese, and it was a combo no-hitter. Their starter went 9 innings, and then a reliever went 2. And Lamar won on a walk-off walk with the bases loaded. Unbelievable. You just don't see no-hitters very often, especially extra inning no-hitters and that kind of thing. So pretty impressive there. All right. Well, the LSU baseball Tigers in a world of hurt. Looking forward to what will be a giant weekend. I mean, they've got to take 2 out of 3 eventually. They've got Missouri coming up the following weekend after Tennessee. So the Tigers are on the road back-to-back weekends. On paper, everybody thought, LSU is going to be able to go to Missouri and get healthy and win 2, maybe 3. Missouri beat Florida this past weekend, 2 out of 3. So, look, it's SEC. Anybody can beat anybody. And the way LSU's playing right now, they don't have confidence against anybody. I mean, let's not forget. A week ago today, they lose to Southern. They had 4 hits and 3 errors against Southern, who has winning pitcher, came into that game with an ERA over 12. So things are in turmoil in a big, big way. It's not in turmoil.
Right. Speaking of no hitters, Ronel Blanco threw a no hitter for the Astros last week. Had a no hitter through 5 last night. So that was 14 straight innings without giving up a hit. I almost texted you to say, "Hey, go put ESPN on." Thinking that you were around the TV, you'd flip it on because they got to 5. Then you start thinking, can this be? Well, he did surrender a base hit up the middle by Simeon, and it got no hitter was taken away. But that was pretty cool because you had that little piece of thing like, can he do this again? Which only Johnny Vandermeer did 100 years ago, whatever it was. So, but
did Astros win?
They won 3-1. It was 3-0. Alvarez big 3-run fly earlier in the game, and they shut it down. They gave up a run in the ninth, but Astros beat the Rangers. They play again tonight. One of them rare 4-game series they play tonight. But a lot of people will be watching UConn and Purdue, I'm sure.
Raging Cajuns, by the way, are on fire. They won 15 in a row. They are ranked in the top 25. They come into this week's poll 24th in the latest poll. LSU not ranked in the top 25, nor should they be. But the Raging Cajuns, now, they haven't played the toughest schedule, and you look at their numbers, they're not really, pitch hitting wise, they're not killing it. Got a lot of guys hitting around the 290, 300 range, but they just have that good mojo, and they're winning the close ones. And right now, they're fun to watch. So good luck to the Raging Cajuns. They've won 15 in a row in the Sun Belt, and we'll keep an eye on them. Pelicans with a giant win last night. 2 of the big 3 played. Zion played, and he played great. He had 30 points, 5 blocks, double-digit rebounds. McCullum played, and had 30 points. So they won on the road at Phoenix. They needed that one, Tommy.
Yeah, they really did. It was a huge win. A lot of people didn't think they'd get that one, but they did. So a big win for the Pelicans. Not a lot of games left in the regular season. Got to figure out where they're going to slot into that playoff. That win last night was huge.
Calipari to Arkansas. This one, nobody, this was interesting because the decision was whether Kentucky would fire John Calipari, the men's basketball coach, after the loss to Oakland the second time in 3 years. They didn't make it past the first weekend. But he had a $33 million buyout, and Kentucky didn't want to spend $33 million to buy out a 65-year-old coach and John Calipari, but they got bailed out by Arkansas, who the Tyson Chicken family had a relationship with Calipari. They decided to bring him in. They're working out the details. Kentucky's off the hook, and now one of the best jobs in college basketball, if not the best job in college basketball, is wide open. everybody is going to want this job. But Calipari, at 65 years of age, gets a fresh start. He'll be over there at Arkansas making somewhere they say around $7 million.
Well, it's Arkansas. Eric Musselman, who was a one-time LSU assistant, he goes to Southern Cal because the Southern Cal coach left. And then all of a sudden, I didn't expect this. In fact, when I was tooling through social media earlier this morning, I saw a list of Kentucky candidates. And then I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. So I quickly found out that Calipari had jumped to Arkansas. Will Wade listed as a dark horse. That was the term was used. They had 4 or 5 names, and they said dark horse.
Very dark.
But Will Wade was on that. Well, at least he got mentioned because he wasn't mentioned for Louisville and some couple of these other jobs that opened up. But this is obviously he's going SEC. He even mentioned Pitino going back to Kentucky. I mean, it's craziness. And Kentucky, they're the one of the blue bloods in college basketball. So I was surprised to see it. But Calipari stays in the SEC. He's just going to go to Fayetteville with the Tyson chicken and the Walmart money and all that.
Yeah, you know what? The bottom line is I think both fan bases are happy. He had been there 14, 15 years at Kentucky, and so they're ready for a fresh start. They were kind of growing tired, hadn't made it past the first weekend since 2019 in the NCAA tournament. So they get there. Oh, they're off the hook. Arkansas is fired up. They were feeling sad about Musselman leaving. Now all of a sudden you get Calipari, get some juice, and everybody's fired up there. So both fan bases happy. Will Nate Oates leave Alabama? He has a $20 million buyout at Alabama. Does Oates? Obviously Kentucky was considering the $33 million buyout. So, if maybe you were going to if you were willing to maybe spend $20 million to buy out Calipari, would you spend $20 million to buy out Oates and then get him to be the coach at Kentucky? That's going to be the thing everybody's looking for. I guarantee you Alabama is toes and fingers and everything's crossed. Now, if Nate Oates leaves and goes to Kentucky, to me, then Will Wade is more of a realistic conversation.
Well, the other thing about Alabama and Nate Oates, there's 4 guys who were seniors this year off their Final 14. So they're gonna have to hit the portal and all that stuff. And it wouldn't be an odds-on favorite to go back to the Final Four, losing so many key players. But maybe maybe, I don't know. Nate Oates will have to wait and see. He just got a big extension at Bama. Bama, I don't know. I don't think Bama would want to lose him.
No, they definitely don't want to lose him. But, does Kentucky say, hey, we can spring for $20 million. We just didn't want to spring for 33 because then, keep in mind, had you sprung for 33 with Calipari, then you got to go buy out somebody. Now the number becomes 43, 53, So now you're off the hook. It's just 20. Go get them. I wouldn't be shocked if that happened. Couple of big stories. Tiger Woods does look like he's going to try to play the Masters. He was there yesterday on the practice facility. His intention, I think, is to play the Masters on Thursday to try to set the record for most consecutive cuts made. But I don't think he's out of the woodwork. I mean, that guy's got to play some practice rounds. He's got to walk around. I think he's still probably in the deciding phase, Tommy.
Yeah, that's what the latest I read is, he's there. He wants to play. It's the 88th Masters. He wants to play. He moves the needle, and that'll be a topic from now through Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon, if he shows up for his tee time and goes ahead and gets it done. And then the next question will be, okay, A, can he make the cut, stroke-wise? B, can he make it physically? Okay, mentally, he's no problem. So that's going to be a big story. Jon Rahm's your defending champ, 12 under last year, won by 4 shots. You got all the live golfers in here. Scotty Scheffler, the odds-on favorite. So many other storylines with golf, which will be blowing up. And we'll talk more about the Masters on Wednesday morning. We might even know more about the Tiger Woods thing then as well. But I'm ready for the 88th Masters. It's that time of year when they say the golf season begins, in most passionate golfers' minds. And I know you've been to Augusta. I have not. And it's a tough course to walk. That'll be a challenge for Tiger Woods.
13 live golfers are playing in the Masters. That'll be.
You going this year?
What's that?
Are you going?
No, I'm not. Louis Garcia is going to be there Tuesday. He's going to be there for a couple of practice rounds, and I think maybe one of the regular rounds. And of course, Buzzy Heidel and Mike Hollander, two former teammates on that played together 06, 07, and 08 for LSU baseball. They are gallery guards. Mike Hollander will be on the number 1 tee box, and Buzzy will be on the 10 green, 10 fairway, is where he will be. And I talked to them yesterday. They stopped off in Birmingham, played a round of golf on Saturday, and we're driving into Augusta yesterday evening. And so they don't get paid. They work all week, Monday through Sunday. They get a couple of shirts and a couple hats. They got to pay for their own accommodations. They got to pay for their own travel to and from, and feed themselves and all that outside of when they're working at the course. But the pay is they get to go back. I think May 20th or 21st, they go back this year, and they get to play Augusta National each and every year. That's their pay. So would you do that, Tom? Is that a fair trade? A week of you?
I would. Yeah, I absolutely would. I wouldn't have to think twice about that if I had that opportunity.
Yeah. 50 years ago today, something happened in sports that's pretty cool.
Henry Aaron hit home run number 715. I was playing a youth baseball game that night, and I remember all the parents, we had a lot of baseball people, and they heard about it on the transistor radio or whatever. And, Henry Aaron. And there's going to be a special on TV tonight about it. But, this morning there was a lot of focus on everything he went through, the whole black-white thing, couldn't stay in the same hotel, couldn't eat in the same dining room. And just the stories that he endured, he said it was supposed to be a joyous time in his life, and it was not. When he broke the home run record, left-hand pitcher Al Downing to the Dodgers, and then, of course, Dusty Baker, manager of the Astros recently, was the on-deck hitter. That's how far back Dusty Baker goes in this game. He was on deck after Aaron hit the home run into the left center bullpen. So 50 years ago, home run 715 to become the home run king.
What's interesting is that, there's a lot of debate on, players of a certain era, how they compare with players of another era, right? What Hank Aaron in the 60s versus Barry Bonds in the 2000s, things like that. And there was a guy that was on discussing Babe Ruth. And if you were to take Babe Ruth from 1927 and drop him into 2024 right now, just literally take 27 Babe Ruth, move him in a time machine, and he's in the lineup tonight, that he would be in AAA. That's how much the game's changed. That's how much better everybody is today than it was 100 years ago. But the same person said, give Babe Ruth a year to train, give him the new modern equipment, give him an opportunity to, work out and get the training that these guys have and spend a year, then yeah, he's probably in there. And I think the same thing with Aaron or any of those players, Johnny Unitas, in football. I mean, the athletes that get better and better, the sports get better and better, whether it be football, baseball, basketball, it doesn't matter. The players today are better than the players that were here 20, 30 years ago. But those players would have, given time, would adapt and be great still, I believe.
Yeah, Henry Aaron is unbelievable. Not a big guy. And, now everybody talks about, get your foot down, hit the fastball, keep your hands back on the breaking ball. He hit off of his front foot. If you look at any video, but, I never met Henry Aaron. It said his hands, his wrists, his forearms was hammering Hank. They were like hammers. And, he hit a lot of home runs and played for 23 years. 21 All-Star games, whatever it was. I think the other thing when you talk about Babe Ruth and Henry Aaron, nowadays, rarely does a baseball player hit a baseball that's been hit before. Okay. If there's a quick ground out to the pitcher and he flips it to first and come right back to him, they'll use that ball again. But Babe Ruth probably hit balls in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th inning. So did Henry Aaron and all the other balls that weren't, new or fresh. That may have, who knows what the numbers could have been. But, baseball is all about numbers and statistics, who did what, when, and how many times did it happen. I just think you say Babe Ruth was the greatest of his time. Henry Aaron broke his record. It was one of the greatest players of his time. It's just, there's a lot of great players, and they're certainly near the top of the list.
Look, the lighter bats, the better wood, all those things. But, the one thing that the game has now that didn't have back then is pitchers, especially in Babe Ruth's time, they threw complete games. So, you faced a guy in the 7th, 8th, and 9th, he's not throwing as hard. He's not, his stuff isn't as sharp. Now they're bringing in fresh arms that are, the next arm might be better than the arm before. So it's quite the challenge now versus back then. But it's always a fun debate. Tommy, tell us about Court Street Cafe.
Well, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 7 days a week, full service bargain. Big thing coming up this Sunday with their brunch and live music, steak nights on Saturdays. We'll tell you more about that on their Facebook and Instagram page. Jason and the staff do a super job here. Just a couple of minutes over the bridge from downtown Baton Rouge. Nice patio out front, some better weather coming later this week. Come to Court Street Cafe. You need to check it out if you haven't done it. 805 Court Street in Port Allen.
Go have lunch, and extend the lunch, watch the eclipse, the later today, around 1:30 today is when the eclipse is going to be happening. Don't look up directly into the sun. For Tommy Krysan, I'm Ronnie Rance. We will be back on Wednesday for more Sports Shorts Daily. TK will be at Tremonti's. And of course, we're always presented by LeBear's Casino. If you want to go have a great experience and not just be on your sofa, you want to go have some fun, hear some cheering, eat some good food, put a little wager on the game, go to the sports book at LeBear's tonight to watch the national championship game. TK likes UConn no matter the point spread. For Tommy Krysan, I'm Ronnie Rance. Have a great Monday, everybody.